So this is interesting. Mike Sando, the Athletic, comes out. He'll be on tomorrow. I love this. I'm obsessed with his quarterback tiers. It's like one of those gifts. I don't know what day it comes out. Today I'm driving in and I'm like, might as well be Christmas. I mean, I don't even have to talk about it today, but I led with it. So he has, this is where NFL executives and I totally agree. In their tiers, 4 tiers, they have Jalen Hurts, 9th, 10th best quarterback. And fans view quarterbacks through the lens of, hey, they win. Well, Trent Dilfer and Nick Foles have Super Bowl rings, and Dan Marino doesn't. Matt Hasselbeck doesn't. Matt Hasselbeck is better than Nick Foles by a lot and Trent Dilfer. So GMs are asked to contextualize it. And if it was just about winning for a quarterback, then how did Patrick Mahomes get drafted in the first round, and how did Josh Allen? I watched Josh Allen play 2 good teams in college, Iowa and Oregon. He got crushed by both. Fans view quarterback, it's all about winning. You have, you're asked, I mean, a great stockbroker tells you to buy a stock before it's $140. He tells you to buy it when it's 13. Anybody can buy a stock. Anybody can buy NVIDIA now for the next 10 years or Amazon and say, hey, I know my stuff. Would you buy NVIDIA at 9, 26, 7 years ago? So Matt Stafford played in the NFL for 12 years and did not win a playoff game. He's a tier 1 quarterback, and he was Sean McVay's #1 target. So this is not a knock on Jalen Hurts. He's not as tall as you'd like. He's about the same size or shorter than Brock Purdy. And Brock Purdy last week went on a podcast and said, 40% of the time, I can't see who I'm throwing to. Tua has said publicly, yeah, a lot of times I let go of the ball. I can't see the receiver. So, and the other thing is, and this is just so obvious, the Eagles had a bye week. Remember when Tom Brady went to Bruce Arians? They were 7-5, and they had a bye week. You can break down your offense in that bye week and kind of make a major, it's hard to get off the treadmill week to week to week. But when you get that bye week and you get 3 or 4 extra practices, Tom Brady goes to Bruce Arians and says, we're going to change up the offense. Last year in the bye week, the people who know him best said, you know, we'd be better off throwing less. That's a tell. So some quarterbacks in this league are Taylor Swift. They're leading the entire tour. Most quarterbacks in this league are the Spice Girls. They're part of an ensemble. Jalen is part of an ensemble. Of the 50 voters, 50 in the Mike Sando survey, of the 50, 3 had Jalen Hurts as a tier 1 quarterback. Okay, it'd be different if it was like 23, and then we could argue. But he was much closer to 7th rounder Brock Purdy than Mahomes, Burrow, and Josh Allen or Lamar. And that's exactly right. Best O-line in football, 2 great receivers, best running back in football, an offensive organization, always above average tight ends, and 2 easy wins every year with the Giants and relatively easy wins over the Cowboys. So, for the record, I've always said this, the difference between the truly great, like Mahomes, and the good, Baker Mayfield, Darnold. What happens when you ask them to carry the team? So Patrick Mahomes, when he throws over 40 times in his career, that means the Chiefs are either behind or the run game's not working. Mahomes is 39-11. When Jalen Hurts, with a great O-line, is asked to throw 40 times or more, he's 0-5. He's never won an NFL game. Okay, those are also very similar to Dak Prescott's numbers. When Dak went 13-3, when he had the best O-line, and he had that great rookie running back, remember, out of Ohio State, Ezekiel Elliott, and Zach's throwing 27 times. Dak was 13-3. And then all of a sudden, you know, Zeke ages. They don't have a #1 before Amari Cooper. And it's like, yeah, Dak's not as good when you ask him to throw 42 times. It's a different quarterback. So it's not a criticism. Again, very few Taylor Swifts, a lot of Spice Girls. You're just part of an ensemble. You need protection. For the record, last year, Niners beat up at left tackle. Christian McCaffrey didn't play. I think Purdy was 1-6 with Kyle Shanahan. 1-6 against playoff teams. Brock, when he has the ensemble healthy, can be a very effective quarterback. Smart, moves, all that jazz. Hour 2 on a Monday coming up next. Listen, the best roster in the league that doesn't have the knowledge that they have a really high-end quarterback, arguably, is Minnesota. I mean, Detroit, great roster. Goff can sling it. Philadelphia, great roster. We know Jalen can play. Baltimore, great roster. Kansas City, a great roster. Quarterbacks. Minnesota's got a great roster. They don't know if they have the right quarterback. And the one thing I will say, and I watched J.J. McCarthy, I've always said this, I don't think Michigan, like Alabama with Saban, kind of prepared him for the NFL. Always played with a lead. Rarely got hit. Great running game. Didn't throw a ton. Didn't have to get in shootouts. Always had the best coach and roster. I thought he was okay. It does feel like this entire preseason has been about him gaining his confidence. And I think self-doubt is something we all have. But for quarterbacks and surgeons, when you go into the emergency room, I'm not looking for that. I need almost a delusional level of playing confidence. Not arrogance, but real confidence. And, I think they're trying to build him up. And I think that's a tough spot. It's a very good roster. Again, it may not be Philly or Baltimore. It's close. It's definitely in that Denver area where you're like, not a lot of holes. Yeah, a lot. And maybe missing no number one receiver in Denver. Maybe they're missing, I don't know. Do they have a number one corner in Minnesota? Maybe, maybe not. But they're not missing much. Here was J.J. McCarthy after this weekend's preseason game.
I feel like KO just thought of this as checking another box. Like, he really wanted to see the operation and just, the fundamentals and doing the simple things at a high level. And I feel like we did that today. It was a huge kind of growing rep that I felt like, just injects confidence in my veins going to the next one.
So there's a little bit, it feels like a little bit of a baby steps process. This is not a baby steps coach. It's not a baby steps roster. It's not a baby steps receiving court. This is a Super Bowl roster. Detroit, Philadelphia are Super Bowl rosters. Baltimore, Kansas City, Buffalo. Those are Super Bowl rosters. I think Minnesota is. And so, Kevin O'Connell, we already know they were willing to sign Sam Darnold for the right number. So that's pretty obvious. Now that has been reported. They told Sam, right number, we'll re-sign you. He got $15 million more a year, or $10 million more a year with Seattle, no state tax in Washington. That's a good move. Sam should have taken that and be the guy without somebody breathing down his neck. But this is a Super Bowl roster. The other thing I've heard a lot about in the reporting by people I think are really good in Minnesota is, everything's a fastball. We want to scale that back. It's got kind of a Kaepernick feel where it's like, Kaepernick came in and it was like Nolan Ryan. If the breaking ball was off, it wasn't a good outing. Like, we always knew he threw fast. McCarthy's got zip on it. Here's Hasselbeck on that whole tempo and developing an off-speed throw.
I think what J.J. McCarthy has, he's got the intangibles that you cannot coach. I think you can coach the what club in the bag are you using. I think you can coach that. I'm someone who would buy on the Minnesota Vikings right now. I think this is a good team. I think this quarterback will have a good year. But certainly the analogy that you used with a young Colin Kaepernick, I think that's a great example of a guy that, has a great arm, a very strong arm, can throw a tight spiral, throw it far. But the clubs in the bag is certainly a thing.
So it is interesting because he is an often discussed player. Aaron Rodgers in The Athletic poll. If you're just tuning in, you haven't watched today. The Athletic has a 50-person survey annually from Mike Sando. It's great.